This clip is brought to you by SaveWithConrad.com. Let's talk about something else that makes the torch. John Laurinaitis is no fan of Jim Cornette and hasn't been for a while. Cornette gave Laurinaitis the excuse he needed to suspend him for 5 days from any involvement with Ohio Valley Wrestling, WWE's developmental territory affiliate at the time, of course, is OVW. And there's speculation that Cornette won't be brought back, but that depends on a number of factors. At this point, the booking and TV writing duties have been taken over by Tommy Dreamer, and he has not been told to change things too much from the direction Cornette set. Cornette has a well-earned reputation for being a hothead and not playing the political game with the WWE front office very well. There have been numerous times over the years that political forces within WWE were so anti-OVW or anti-Jim Cornette that there was consideration given to just pulling the plug on the affiliation altogether. Pro-Cornette and pro-OVW forces convinced Vince McMahon to stay the course. At the May 4th TV tapings in a dark match, Kevin Fertig, aka Mordecai, wore a baseball cap to the ring for a tag match where he teamed with Daniel Puder against Kenzo Suzuki and El Diablo Negro, the Ken Doan. During the match, Cornette noticed that Fertig was wearing the cap backwards on his head, and backstage, Cornette said it looked stupid and sent word for him to take it off. Fertig did. But then during the match, Fertig took a sombrero from a fan and wore that, perhaps as a way to get under Cornette's skin. It worked. As Cornette blew up backstage afterwards, chewing him out, Cornette has a history of blowing his temper and threatening people, including after a recent Dudley's match in OVW where they put Jillian Hall through a table. He was upset because he considers a woman being driven through a table the type of stuff that would require her to be off TV and injured for weeks, if not months, to properly sell it. He didn't confront the Dudleys himself, but he was upset about it happening. Al Snow will be taking over on commentary for the TV shows, and Dreamer, with the assistance from Lance Storm, will be scripting the TV shows. Do you remember this? How on the money is Wade Keller with his report? And what can you tell us about Cornette and OVW, and maybe how he didn't see things the way John Laurinaitis did?
No, I don't remember the specific hat incident. However, I think there was a lot building at OVW with a difference in philosophy as far as what we were looking for and what Jim was looking for. OVW was there as a developmental territory to take the talent that we felt had potential, to train them and bring them up, get them ready so that they could step onto television in the WWE and be ready to go. And I think that OVW did an excellent job at doing just that. And to that, the trainers, Danny Davis, Jim Cornette, I think everyone that was involved there played a huge part in providing pieces of the wrestling business. And to me, I thought that was an essential part of learning. You learn the good, you learn what to do, you learn what not to do. And some guys had great advice, and in their great advice may have been negative nuggets. You move the negative nuggets over into another compartment and you take the positive and build on that. So I think that there were some negative nuggets maybe that were going on there. Those of us who had experienced OVW, had worked with Cornette and Danny and Al Snow and the guys that were there, we knew how valuable that OVW was to the future of our business and the development of future talent. So yeah, we probably all were trying to downplay it. And I think that Corny just my way or the highway type thing. And unfortunately it became the highway for Corny. But as far as OVW went, I was always a huge supporter because it was imperative for the future of our business, in my opinion.
Is it, can it simply be said that Johnny Ace was a better, fit in the corporate world than Jim Cornette?
Repeat that question.
Johnny Ace is more, you know, I've only met him a handful of times, but the rap we hear about him or read about him as fans is he's more of the corporate type. He's, the suit and tie and filling out reports and yes, sir, no, sir, and whatnot. And Corny is a little more, sort of old school wrestling. Fair to say?
Very fair to say. Yes, absolutely. And that just comes down to, we make choices in life, and you can choose to get along or not get along. John chose a path to get along and was very good at his job, and a very thankless job. And you have rules in society. Whether you choose to live by those rules is your choice, because we all have choices. So I'm not a big fan of wearing a tie every day, but when I go into the office, I do, because that's the dress code. And I've chosen to go back to a place where, by God, it's required that you wear a tie in the office. It's not even necessarily required, but it's the right thing to do. So I wear a tie. And John Laurinaitis is a good businessman, and John was looking after the business and looking after the company. And Jim was interested in wrestling the way it used to be and the way you like it, by God.
Well, is it really about just the way wrestling used to be, or how much is it just the corporate culture that changed, I guess is what I'm trying to drive at. Do you think Corny's sort of downfall in WWE, if that's the right phrasing, is his inability to assimilate to the corporate lifestyle and presentation from an office standpoint that Vince was now looking for? I mean, when did that change? Once upon a time, you know, it was not as quote unquote stuffy. And then there is an adjustment. You know, we've heard about it over the years from a performer standpoint. You guys started to have a dress code for when the talent was traveling and things like that. Did that all start to change once the company went public? Before, during, after? When do you remember there being a bit of a paradigm shift about the way the business is done behind the scenes?
Vince said that, and Vince said that going back as early as 1983. And Vince wanted to upgrade the product and be able to present the product in a different way than the old promoter sitting there smoking a cigar in the back with his shirt unbuttoned down to his belly. Vince wanted to present everything in a different way and be more professional. So part of that was how you look. Like they always say, don't dress for the job you have, dress for the job that you want. And in Vince's mind, Vince wants to present a classy and wants to present a uniform, almost not uniform look, because good Lord, it's not that with some of the things that people wear, but it just wants to be respectable and show, you know, have some respect for yourself and your job and the people that you work with. So to that degree, yes, he asked us to dress, and I don't think that's asking a whole lot. I'm not crazy about it. Never have been. Ever. Yeah. But I do it.
One more piece of news before we get to the pay-per-view. Former WWE announcer Kevin Kelly was out front making some pretty negative remarks about Vince, Triple H, WWE as a whole. He did an appearance on Voice of Wrestling Radio, and he said, quote, Triple H is going to make sure no one gets over more than him. And if you don't have the right political clout in that company, it's going to come back to haunt you. What do you make of these comments from Kevin Kelly? Because I know you like Kevin.
Yeah, I guess Kevin didn't have the right political clout, according to his own comments. So I chalk that up to being bitter for not being there anymore.
Mm-hmm. Why wasn't he there anymore? Do you remember why Kevin Kelly's run came to an end?
I think just looking for new and different talent, and bringing in, I know Michael Cole coming in and Michael kind of taking over and just trying out new talent. A lot of times at that, I don't want to say that level, but that level of television and that talent is currently and constantly, it's churned through, where you're trying to find that next guy. You're trying to find the next lead commentator to take you into the next generation. And that's been a constant since the day I stepped foot in this company in 1987.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money. It's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at SaveWithConrad.com.